and there's a motorbike on. Oh my gosh, there's 3 motorbikes. Wow, this is a real test. Okay, the car so far did a wonderful job. Hey, welcome to my channel called Swiss Tesla Fan. Today I want to do something a little bit special. I want to talk about something that some people call one-foot driving or one-pedal driving. So basically what it means is that we'll be showing how you can, together with the regenerative braking feature of the car, you can avoid braking a lot and actually almost never have to touch the brake except if you're going slow. So I'm stopped right now because I want to show you something. I'm going to show you here. You'll see on the screen there'll be bars that go to the right that are black, and bars that go to the left that are green. And so basically when it's black, that means we're actually using power from the batteries to power the car. And when it's green on the left, that means we're regenerating power using braking. And so I'll also show you in real time as I'm driving when I'm actually letting go of the pedal, because of course you won't be able to see it. And that way you'll understand when I'm actually putting my foot on the brake or when I'm just basically lifting my foot off the pedal. All right, so let's get moving. Okay, so for example, now I'm going to have to apply the brakes. So usually when you're using the default setting on regenerative braking, it is pretty strong, and so most people will be surprised when they first try a Tesla that as soon as you lift your foot from the pedal, it will start slowing down significantly, much like you're applying the brakes. So for example, here I'm arriving to this intersection, and I'll be just lifting my foot now. So basically I'm just lifting slowly and I haven't touched the brakes yet. And it's only if I have to stop completely that I will actually put the brakes on. So here I'm applying again pressure to the pedal, but I haven't touched the brakes at all. And actually you see there's a Model 3 in front of us, which is pretty cool. And so you can see here I was telling you about this line here. So that's the line where I'm using power. And as soon as it goes to the left, it means I'm actually regenerating power. So the thing is with regenerative braking is basically you can really save the usage of your brakes because it means that in most cases, especially even for braking out, coming out of the highway, you'll see that we don't need the brakes that much, which is great because it saves you on changing brake discs, sorry. Oops, actually. So here you see I had to brake at the last minute, so here I actually had to use the brakes. So yeah, that was a good example of when you have to use the brakes, because here basically the light changed just before I had to go through, and I had to make sure that I could brake in time. So here with regenerative braking, I probably would not have made it. But also the other thing is that regenerative braking works well until about 10 kilometers an hour, and then you really have to apply the brakes. I'm not sure why they do it like that, because if you're using the cruise control and there's a car in front of you, the car will actually, okay, here we go again. So here again I had to brake because these people decided to go at the last minute. So you can see that, yeah, there are some cases, especially when you're driving under 10 kilometers an hour, where you will have to apply the brakes. So for example here, I'm taking my foot off now, and you can see it slowing down. And if I time this right, I can actually not have to stop. And actually that wasn't a stop, that was a, but of course if it's a stop, I have to always stop. So here basically what I'm doing is I'm just slowing down, taking my foot off the pedal, and without having to brake. So here, for example, there's a red light. So here I know I'm going to have to slow down. So I'm just going to take off my foot off the pedal now, and I'm starting to brake. I'm starting to slow down with regenerative braking. So far I haven't applied the brakes at all. So let's see. Okay, now I'm applying the brake. So you can see there's a point where you have to do it. So coming back to cruise control. So if you use cruise control and there's a car in front of you and the car stops, cruise control will stop. So it means that in cruise control it probably applies the brakes automatically. And so why it doesn't do that here, now I'm applying the brakes. Why it doesn't do that all the time, I'm not sure. Maybe it wants to make sure that you're applying the brakes sometimes. But basically, yeah, it could do it. So it's just a question of why not. It could be a setting, they could add it. But anyway, it's just something you have to know. So here you see we're in the middle of town. There's a lot of stop and go. So you have to sort of play with it. And now, right now, I'm just lifting my foot off the pedal. I'm still not braking. And I'm gonna brake now. So as you see, about 10 kilometers an hour, when you reach that limit, that's when you have to apply the brakes. So that also means that since you're applying the brakes at a low speed, you won't be using them as much as regular brakes, where you might, especially on automatic cars, where you might apply them a lot more because the car won't brake as much as a manual car where you can shift down. So I'm probably gonna get out of town now. So I'm lifting my foot off the pedal now. Still haven't braked. Turn right here. I'm still lifting my foot off the pedal, and I braked here a little bit to let that car through, but not much. All right, so now it doesn't really matter what speed you're at. Basically, you can pretty much use it all the time, even if you're on the highway at 120 and you have to slow down. Just lifting your foot off the pedal, depending on how much you lift it, it will determine how much the car will slow down. So I'm applying the brake now, just a little bit, and I'm applying the brake again here. So now, okay, so, well, I talked about one pedal driving, you know, in general. What it does mean is that here, of course, I'm using like almost the worst case scenario, because this is rush hour traffic in the morning, so there's a lot of traffic. But when there's less traffic, you can pretty much do it with one pedal, of course. Okay, here we go. Assuming that you don't have to stop, or you're not required to. Okay, let's get out of here. All right, so we'll be on the highway soon. And on the highway, I won't necessarily show you how it works on the highway all the time, because it's not that interesting. I'll probably use Autopilot anyway. But I'll show you what it looks like when we exit the highway and how I can slow down. So there's another Model 3 there. You didn't see us. And a lot of people, when a lot of Model 3s, if they're looking at you and you make a little sign, they'll wave back, so that's pretty cool. And now, okay, now I'm not applying the brakes, I'm just slowing down. One thing that's important with the pedal is that if you lift your foot off the pedal quickly, it will brake hard. And so if you're on the highway, you have to be aware of that. And what's also really cool is that basically, even if you're not braking, meaning you're not putting the foot on the brake pedal, if the car has to slow down hard, I mean with regenerative braking, what it will do is it will turn on the brake lights. Uh-oh, I'm not sure if I want to get in there. Oh well, too late. Okay, we're gonna go in traffic here. Looks like the highway is pretty blocked, so it's not gonna be much fun, but we'll see. So maybe what I'll do here is, as there's a lot of traffic, maybe I'll use manual braking. I mean, I won't use autopilot right away. That way you can get a feel of how it works at higher speeds. So right now I'm controlling my speed just with one pedal, which of course you would do like normally in a regular car, but here you see it's slowing down already. So I'm just controlling everything with one pedal. So for example here, if it slows down, you see sometimes you'll see the bar on the left go up in green. Yeah, you see, every time that's happening, that's because I'm lifting my foot off the pedal. So for example on the highway, again it means that you're never going to really use much braking, of course, unless you have to really slow down all the way to a stop, or if you have to really slam on the brakes, because people are doing that. So for example here, I'm just lifting my foot off the pedal. I'm not braking. And we're probably going to come to a complete stop. I mean, going to have to. There's another Model 3 here. As you can see, quite a lot of Model 3s in Switzerland now. Okay, I still haven't applied the brakes, and I'm going to apply them now. All right, we're stopped on the highway. Yay! This is what it's usually like at this time. This is why sometimes I leave earlier or later, because in the end it makes absolutely no difference as to what time you arrive. Yeah, I waved at the guy and he saw me. Ooh, that's a performance version too. Alright, so I think we'll look at what it looks like when we get off the highway. I'm not gonna film the whole traffic here. I'm not sure it's gonna be that interesting. Unless, of course, what we could do, well, I can't turn it on now, but I could show you how autopilot behaves in this stop and go traffic. So let's try to turn it on as soon as it starts moving. Okay, so I'm gonna activate autopilot now. And okay, so autopilot is on now. We're gonna give it, yeah, 7 seconds. So here it's gonna try to give us some distance between the cars. So over here we're gonna have a lot of stop and go traffic, because it's just the way it behaves. So you'll be able to see how it behaves. I'm not gonna do the lane changes, because it really makes not much that sense at all. You can see up there it's already slowing down. And the car, so you see, this is interesting. The car's slowing down, but the car in front of me was not slowing down. And this is because the car is calculating the risk of slowdowns, and it's also calculating what's going on the left lane. And based on all of that, it's deciding to slow down by itself. And it's actually doing the right thing, because as you can see now, this avoids us having to brake hard. And so you'll see here that the car is going to actually come to, if we come to a complete stop, it will come to a complete stop on the highway. And we're going to pass that Tesla Model 3, it seems. Yep. I wonder if he's in an autopilot also. You can tell if a car is in autopilot, Tesla's in autopilot, if it's in the middle of the lane. Because that's the way the autopilot behaves. It keeps you always centered in a lane. If he's more to the left or more to the right, you know he's not, but he looks like he is. So okay, so here we're probably going to come to a complete stop on the highway. Well, almost. 4, 3, no, we're going to go again. But you can see that autopilot is doing great. Of course, I always have to keep my hands on the wheel, mostly for legal reasons, but also because the system will scream at me if I don't. So you can see here that in this type of traffic, it's really nice, the system. The only downside, as I mentioned in one of my first videos, is the fact that you do have motorbikes that will want to go down the center, and as we're centered in the lane, they won't like the fact that you're not letting them through, and they might get upset. This is again what happened to a driver in Norway, and the motorcycle actually hit the car and to complain about it. So of course none of that is appropriate behavior. Okay, so here we go. Here we're going to come to a complete stop. So you see in cruise control the car will stop completely. So that's different to what you do with one pedal driving. So here of course I'm not doing anything. So I think that's enough of that boring traffic. We'll see each other again when we can actually demonstrate more this one pedal driving. All right, see you in a moment. One thing I forgot to mention is, of course, the car, even when it's driving itself, uses regenerative braking. So every time it's slowing down, even significantly, it will actually use regenerative braking. So, of course, it also applies the brakes if it needs to, like here we're slowing down all the way. But apart from that, it will actually use regenerative braking, and it will put the brake lights on if we're braking pretty hard. So it makes no difference whether it's the autopilot or the cruise control that's doing this, or if it's yourself, it behaves exactly the same. We're back next to the Tesla, and I just saw his screen as he was passing by, and he is driving in Autopilot, and he also has Navigate on Autopilot. So this is a really interesting thing about having Teslas on the road, is that basically you know how Teslas behave now, and you can imagine a world where you would have like, oh sorry. So we just passed the Tesla, and as he passed us before, I managed to see his screen, and I noticed that he was actually in Navigate on Autopilot. And so it's kind of interesting, because when you have Teslas next to you and that are in Autopilot or Navigate on Autopilot, you kind of know what the cars will do because you're used to the one that you have. And it actually makes for a pretty safe experience, because you know that the cars will always take the safest course of action. And so you can imagine a future where you have a lot of these cars, automatic cars, and that would actually make things, hopefully, of course, that's the big hope, safer on the road for overall. To give you an example, a computer can actually react to something in maybe hundreds of milliseconds, whereas a human, in order to react, the fastest, quickest reaction time, and that's just the time that your brain will use to start actually moving, is 700 milliseconds. So that means a computer has a response time that's, well, let's give it some leeway, but 6 times faster. And so in case of emergencies or in braking, a computer can react much faster than a human, because the human has to not only have the mental reaction time, but also the physical reaction times, actually moving the muscles. Whereas the computer reaction time is only the reaction time between what the computer is calculating and the actual applying of the brakes, for example. So here there's a Model S that's just next to us, 90D. I didn't see if he was, I can't see the screens on the cars as they're much lower, which might be a good thing for privacy, but anyway, and so yeah, safety, as you know, for Tesla is a big concern, and it should be. They've had a few bugs, that's true. That's why you should never trust the system blindly. Always make sure that it's doing what you're expecting it to, and always be ready to react. But despite that, overall it's really good, and it's getting better all the time, which is also a good thing. So now this is going to be interesting. We're going to have a lot of incoming traffic here. And I'm going to try to see if the car will let people in or if I have to take over here. This is something that I don't have that much experience with. And so we'll see how it behaves. So right now it doesn't show us the cars coming in. Oh yeah, there's one. So we'll see if it lets cars merge in automatically or if I have to correct anything. So if this car is going to try to come in, and there's a motorbike on, oh my gosh, there's 3 motorbikes. Wow, this is a real test. Okay, the car so far did a wonderful job. So you saw there were motorbikes coming on both sides, and the car had no issues with that. And it used to kind of freak out when I first got the car, and a motorbike would pass that close. The car would kind of brake and react sort of like, almost like somebody that was freaking out. And here there were motorbikes all around us, left and right, and the car absolutely behaved beautifully. And you saw also that it let that car in fine. Of course there wasn't that much room, but that's because of traffic. Wow, that was really close. So you see, this is completely illegal. This guy is taking tons of risks. And so that's unfortunately something we have to live with. And that guy was going so fast I didn't even see him in my rearview mirrors. So as you can see, motorbikes still something that you have to watch out for, but the car's doing a lot better with them, which is a good thing. And unfortunately, one thing that would be nice, I think, in terms of autopilot would be that the car, when it slows down significantly, would get away from the center. Because in Switzerland, for example, when there's an accident, you're supposed to open up a middle way for emergency vehicles to be able to pass through. Emergency vehicles are not supposed to take the emergency lane. That's kind of ironic. The reason being that there might be something blocking the emergency lane, whereas cars can always free up the middle of the road, of the pavement. So that'd be kind of nice if Tesla could sort of take that into account. But of course, this might be different by country. So that means they would have to sort of learn about that and implement it. But it might come over time. And it might be something that the neural network can learn also. Anyway, so we're back in more fluid traffic now. And so I'm going to keep on using Autopilot. And I'll see you when we get out on the highway. Oh, there, sorry, I was about to cut, but you saw that the car actually braked pretty hard there. And did that, of course, with regenerative braking only. All right, see you. Okay, we're coming up to the exit soon. And we still have to do one lane change here. And actually, there's a lane change, the car does it all by itself. So here I might have to do the lane change manually because basically nobody's gonna let me in otherwise. So I'm gonna probably, let's see about this car. Alright, we're gonna have to let this car through. And okay, I do have to get in the left lane, guys. So this is a very good example of something that the Autopilot cannot do for the moment, because basically this is a little bit tricky to do and dangerous. Okay, so here you'll see the car will do an automatic lane change. I never know what that beep is. Alright, so you see here, it's going to do an automatic lane change. I'm not doing anything. The car is doing it by itself. Whoops, and it actually messed up. Interesting. I don't know what happened there. I got confused. Anyway, so interesting. That was not supposed to happen. Never happened before. All right. Now what we're gonna do is, this is the highway exit. So I'm driving 76 right now, and it's actually going down. So this is a good example. So here I'm just gonna take my foot off the pedal, gently, and you'll see I'm slowing down. So this can also be used to go downhill. When you're going downhill, it will brake significantly, and I still haven't touched the brake. So you can see I slowed down all the way to 43 and haven't touched the brake. So we almost made it to our destination. So I think this is the end of this video. So if you liked it, make sure to put a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to be notified when I release a new video. And of course, this is your channel, so make sure if you have any feedback, put it in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer it or make a video about it. And last but not least, if you're interested in purchasing a Tesla, I'll put my referral link in the description, and you'll get 1,500 kilometers of free supercharger electricity if you use that code. All right, so right at the parking lot, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.